Not the comfortable kind. The ones couples grow into where words become optional. These silences were sharp-edged, too precise, like an absence carved out on purpose. Evelyn noticed them long before she admitted it out loud. The way Aaron stopped humming in the shower. How his replies grew clipped. Each, "I'm fine," sounding more final than the last. His phone, once left on kitchen counters and couch cushions, now rarely left his pocket. They'd been married 8 years. Built a life together out of modest dreams and shared laughter. The kind of life where you fight about stupid things like who left the cap off the toothpaste or why the thermostat is always 2 degrees too cold, but always come back to bed with your feet tangled under the sheets. But something was different now. It wasn't one moment, not a dramatic confrontation or a midnight confession. It was erosion, a slow crumbling of the foundation they'd poured their hearts into. Bit by bit, then it shatters. One night, Evelyn opened Aaron's laptop. Not out of suspicion, at least that's what she told herself, but because her own had died and she needed to check an email for work. The moment it booted, a message popped up. "You still awake? I can't stop thinking about you." The sender's name was just initials, but the familiarity in those words was unmistakable. Her hands went cold. She clicked. There they were, months of messages. Flirty, intimate, hungry. Not the language of a man just lost or confused, but of one who had already left the relationship in his mind. Maybe even in his heart. She didn't scream, didn't cry. She read everything. Twice, then closed the laptop gently, like sealing a coffin. For the next week, Evelyn said nothing. She made his coffee, kissed his cheek, laughed at a dumb TV show with him. It was almost terrifying how easy it was to pretend, like wearing someone else's skin. But every interaction was a ghost, just a hollow version of what it used to be. Then came Saturday, their anniversary. He handed her a bouquet of white lilies, the kind her mother used to keep on the kitchen windowsill. "Happy anniversary," he said, smiling, like the man she married was still in there somewhere. She took the flowers, and calmly, without malice or dramatics, said, "I know about her." The silence that followed was a new kind, deafening and final. Aaron opened his mouth, closed it, tried again. It didn't mean..." "Don't." She held up a hand. If it didn't mean anything, it wouldn't have lasted this long. He slumped into a chair like the air had been sucked out of him. She set the flowers on the counter. "I don't need you to explain. I just need you to leave." He didn't argue. He packed a bag in silence. Bit by bit, she watched him go, shoes by the door, his toothbrush, his jacket from the back of the dining chair, ghosts disappearing one after the other. Evelyn didn't break down until 3 days later. She was folding laundry, his last T-shirt, one she used to steal for bedtime. She held it to her face, inhaled the faint scent of him, and let herself fall apart. Not because she wanted him back, but because it had all shattered, not in one sudden crash, but in a slow, invisible undoing. Love doesn't always explode. Sometimes it dies by inches, bit by bit, then it shatters. Evelyn let the sobs come, no longer fighting the way her chest tightened or how her fingers trembled clutching that old T-shirt. Grief, it turned out, didn't care if the person who hurt you didn't die. It came anyway, dressed as betrayal and absence and the echo of 1,000 what-ifs. That night, she couldn't sleep. The bed was too large, the silence too heavy. She got up, made tea she didn't drink, and stood at the window, watching the streetlights cast long shadows over her porch. A dog barked in the distance. A train rumbled far off. Life, she realized, kept going even when yours felt paused. And maybe that was the cruelest part of heartbreak. The next morning, Evelyn did something she hadn't done in months. She took a walk, not to escape the house, but to reclaim the world outside of her marriage. The city felt different, not hostile, just unfamiliar, as if she'd been inside for too long, and the outside had kept evolving without her. She passed a bookstore she used to visit, one she hadn't thought about in years. On impulse, she walked in. The owner, a woman with silver braids and a bright scarf, greeted her with a warm nod. Evelyn wandered the aisles until she found a small poetry book titled things that refused to break. She bought it. No plan, just a need. That night, she read it cover to cover. One line stayed with her. What breaks you also shows you what you're made of. It became her quiet mantra. Weeks passed. The pain dulled, not erased, but no longer raw. The nights were still lonely, but Evelyn began filling them with something more. Books, music, walks, dinners with old friends she hadn't called in years. One afternoon, while volunteering at a local art fair, a suggestion from her therapist, she met a woman named Run. Run was an artist. Sharp, funny, with paint-stained fingers and a laugh that warmed everything around her. They talked, then they talked again. Coffee, then a gallery, then a hike. Not romance. Not yet. Just connection. Just a reminder that shattered doesn't mean destroyed. On what would have been their 9th anniversary, Evelyn woke up in her bed alone and didn't cry. She made her tea, played her favorite vinyl, sat by the window in her robe and sunlight, and she smiled. Not because it didn't hurt anymore, but because she finally felt whole again, even with the cracks. Some stories break you. Some endings write you anew. Bit by bit, she had fallen apart. But now, piece by piece, she was rebuilding. What surprised her most wasn't how much she changed, but how much she had been missing herself even before betrayal. Marriage hadn't made her disappear, but it slowly dulled her edges, softened her voice, narrowed her world to someone else's comfort zone. Now, in the stillness of her reclaimed life, her voice came back. Not louder, but clearer. She started painting again. Just small things. Wildflowers on canvas scraps. Cityscapes from her bedroom window. A memory of her mother's hands brushing flour from her apron. She posted one online, then another. By spring, she'd been invited to contribute to a local gallery's mixed media showcase titled Resilience. She hesitated, then said yes. Ren was the first one to see her collection before it was hung. They walked through Evelyn's small apartment, pausing in front of each piece. Ren was quiet, thoughtful. Then she said softly, "These don't look like they were painted by someone broken." Evelyn met her gaze. "That's because I'm not." They smiled at each other, and it lingered. The night of the gallery show, Evelyn wore a deep green dress, bold, unassuming hers. The room buzzed with chatter and soft music. People sipped wine, tilted their heads thoughtfully, murmured about the color palettes and emotions. But Evelyn wasn't watching the crowd. She was watching herself. Her work, her journey, her proof. One man stopped in front of a piece titled What Remained. It was abstract but personal. Cool grays washed in layered amber and a single crack of crimson streaking through the middle. Deliberate, unapologetic. "It's beautiful," the man said. Evelyn nodded. It hurt like hell to paint. He blinked at that. "But you still painted it." "Yes," she said, "because even broken things can become art." That night, she walked home under a clear sky, stars above, city alive around her. Ren walked beside her, quiet at first. Then she reached for Evelyn's hand. No urgency, no pressure, just warmth. Evelyn didn't flinch. She didn't pull away. She squeezed back gently, brave enough, at last, for whatever might come next. Not every love story ends in ruins. Some do, but some start with the ruins and rebuild into something truer. Bit by bit, she had shattered, but piece by piece, she had become unbreakable. The real beginning. Ren and Evelyn sat on a rooftop 2 nights after the gallery show, legs dangling off the ledge, city lights winking beneath them like constellations had fallen just close enough to touch. "Do you ever wish it hadn't happened?" Ren asked gently. Evelyn was quiet. She thought about the betrayal, the unraveling, the nights she couldn't breathe. She thought about the gallery, her paints, the crack in the middle of her favorite piece, the one that everyone seemed to think was a mistake, but was, in truth, her favorite part. She turned to Run, lips curving slightly. "I used to," she said, "but then I realized some things don't break you to end you. They break you to wake you." Ren looked at her for a long time, then said, "And are you awake now?" Evelyn laughed softly, looking up at the wide, open sky, more than I've ever been. Below them, a siren wailed in the distance. The city breathed on, and Evelyn leaned back on her hands, eyes closed, letting the wind tousle her hair, the scars on her heart whispering not pain, but proof. She wasn't just healed, she was reborn. And as dawn slowly crept over the rooftops, gold spilling across cracked concrete and old wounds, she realized. Some hearts aren't meant to stay whole. They're meant to shatter, so they can be rebuilt as armor. Bit by bit, she had come undone. Now, piece by piece, she was unstoppable. And this was only chapter 1. The end. Or maybe, finally, the beginning